So I wanted to address the purpose of the subreddit, which is stopping the cycle of abuse. And the reason I picked that subreddit mission was because there was a point at which I recognized that I was at risk of being abusive with my kids, however many kids I may have in the future. And so I was on this mission of like, okay, no, the cycle ends here. We're not passing this along. And the moment I recognized that I might have a problem was when I got my first kitten. Kittens are adorable. Also, you're not supposed to get them alone, which I didn't realize at the time, because they're social. My baby, Rowan. I get one kitten, not two, one kitten, and that kitten's dealing with being in an environment that's not really kitten optimal. And then also, he's doing like normal kitten stuff. And I had this moment where I was so full of rage. I think he was clawing at something. And I just absolutely felt like this overwhelming, all-consuming rage take over I was so mad. It's so out of proportionate to what was happening. And again, as I talked in the last video, I'm the one who set up that situation. I did that. And then there were results of that that I didn't like. And then I was losing my mind. And, how often do, let's say, non-optimal parents, how often are non-optimal parents doing that? So I go, oh, no. Uh-oh. Because I had successfully, I'd moved away from home. I went to college. I was like, I never want to think about this shit again. I don't care. That's the past. I was abused by my parents in the past. I was in foster care in the past. I was kicked out of foster care in the past. I didn't want to think about that anymore. I just wanted to be living my life. Again, like a couple videos ago. We want to take shortcuts. We want to just, move on. Have a good time. And the stuff we don't want to deal with is there lurking. So what I didn't realize was there working was a couple of things. The way I originally conceptualized it was that I had my dad's abusive programming, because I felt the way he looked to me as a kid. And I was like, oh no, I've got this default stress programming and it's not mine. I don't want this, regular normal Inva just doesn't think this way, doesn't feel this way. But then something would trigger and I just was absolutely so angry. Just beyond what was reasonable. So I'm like, okay, gotta address this. And I do my best. Again, though, I was 23. This has been a very long journey. So I was doing my best to kind of address it on my own. Again, I could have, if I had just taken that counseling therapy shortcut back then, I could have saved myself so much. So much. So anyway, I wait 7 years. I wait 7 years to have a kid. I'm like, I'm okay. Everything's good. I'm stable. La la la. I could do this. I'm going to be a great mom. It's, I've always wanted to be a mom. And I always wanted to be a really good one. And I am a good mom. And I thought, okay, I'm safe. I'm a safe person now. I'm okay to do this. So I have my son, and the first 6 weeks, as I mentioned in another video, were great. I was like, oh man, brush my shoulders off. I am awesome at this. And then my child's father leaves and goes back from paternity leave. And not only that, he basically like washes his hands of it. You know, like, I'm back to work. I'm paying the mortgage. You're the one who needs to be handling everything. And I went from feeling on top of the world to drowning. What I didn't recognize back then was, one, nobody, and I mean nobody, should be taking care of kids by themselves. We hear these trite phrases, and, you know, we're like, yeah, I agree with that. No, for real. It takes a village. It takes a village because kids need so much. They need more than one person can give them. They need something from so many people. And instead of shaming them for seeking out like this engagement, and instead of shaming them for them wanting to connect, instead of shaming them for, you know, because we're coming from a place of like, oh my God, I need a break, right? Instead of doing that, we have other people involved, you know, then that's the way, you know, we're mammals. It's literally the way our biology operates. So, you know, he's back to work. I am by myself with no car, stuck in a hoarded house. I didn't know this person was a hoarder when I married them, but soon discovered, not soon really, actually, but right around the time of our son, it started happening. That controlling, taking over the space, you know. So I think my pregnancy was really, I think that's when the resentment started, because I was like, okay, I'm really sorry, I can't do cat litter now. Like, can you do this? And then at about, I was trucking along, not really feeling any effects of my pregnancy. But then the 7th month, I was like, ooh, it's real now. And I need you to do the yard. I can't do it. And he did not want to do nothing. I think he really resented that there were things that I was no longer doing, regardless of whether or not it was valid. You know, I think all of this was operating subconsciously. So like at this period, he starts hoarding the house. By the time our son is born, it's so bad that like when you combine the hoarding with the cats, and like I was unable to do the cleaning because I was the only one who was doing the cleaning. Suddenly we had this environment that gave our kid reactive airway disorder. And I thought I would appeal to the because he was so money focused. I thought I would appeal to the like miser part of him. I was like, hey, this medication costs $70 a month. Like, if we just clean things up, if you just organize your stuff, like get in the garage and then we can take care of this, we'll save $70 a month. No, that's not not motivating enough. What actually motivated him to stop that was and he helped me, actually. I packed up the U-Haul with everything we owned, and I tried moving out to Chattanooga. I was like, okay, I'm going to move out to Chattanooga. I'm going to try and find a job. And I'm out there. I drove into town. You got to imagine the U-Haul. This big U-Haul. There's like a car on the back. Because I took the car. I was like, I'll drive it back. I'm going to need it for interviews. So, you got to imagine, it's me. It's like the dead of winter. I'm trying this U-Haul. I'm in the trailer. I got my baby. I want to say it was like 2 maybe. I'm like trying to make this fresh new start. And about 10 seconds after driving into Chattanooga, I knew. Like, it was the wrong place to be. And I was like, no, I'm going to try. So I roll up, I try, and I send out resumes. Nobody, not one person. And meanwhile, I would take my son out into the city to do things. Like they have like a kids museum there. And we had explored the kids museum really well in our city. So to have a new one was very exciting. Um, but, and to the park and things. And it just, every time I went out, I was like, oh, this doesn't feel right. And I didn't have a rational explanation for it. So I kept pushing. And then finally was like, okay, I'm getting a no and I'm running out of money. My 401k that I had, again, another video, I'd cashed in my 401k to like try and make things better. Anyway, so I call my child's father. I'm like, listen, we'll come back, but you gotta take care. We can't come back to that. Our kid's literally has never even been in his own room, has never even slept in his own bed because it's all his father stuff is everywhere. So dad agrees, and I drive back on black ice, by the way, through the mountains. Oh man. So anyway, there was a whole heck of a lot going on. I was by myself. I was in a bad physical environment. It was physically bad. I've got asthma, but like it gave our kid reactive airway. Dad just, in his mind originally, like when we started going to therapy, and our son was securely attached to me, but not insecurely attached to dad. And just absolutely obsessed, like, where's my daddy? Where's my daddy? Where's my daddy? In his mind, that didn't start until he moved out so that we could get divorced. And I was like, no, man, You would go out whenever you felt like after work. Spend however much money you felt like spending to go out and have drinks and eat with the guys at work. And we would have no idea, You would leave early enough in the morning. You'd come back late enough at night that it would be multiple days before our son could see you, and then he's asking me like, Mama, where's my daddy? This just broke my heart because I didn't know, and I didn't, I am coming from a place where I want my son to always know that I tell him the truth. Like, you can rely on what I tell you. You may not prefer it, but without any shadow of a doubt, if I tell you a thing, either it's true or I believe it to be true, every piece of me. And so I was not going to say, oh, he'll be here soon. Adults forget how long time is for kids, I was a guardian ad litem at one point, and so, adults are like, oh, these kids it's only a couple months. No, when you're a kid, it's forever. So he's little, and even though it just seemed like days, he might only see his daddy like 3 times a week. And it'd be days in between, and that was like forever for him. Totally fair, and it completely makes sense. Then he would be insecurely attached to his father. So this whole situation's going on. I spent all my money. I am freaking out. I had started this subreddit because I was like, this is not happening. Like, I need a place. It started off as my personal library for my resources to go to help me not lose my fucking mind. Just because people from the outside were like, no, you're so hard on yourself. You're such a good mom. I was like, I'm working hard because I know how I feel on the inside. I feel angry. I feel rage. I feel like I want to lash out. I feel these feelings. And of course, like, also, I'm operating from this position of feeling mad all the time because I'm mad at his father, So I'm just, just trying to keep it together. I didn't realize that, I did during, the process of trying to like pull all the pieces together. I realized that my distress tolerance was a lot smaller than, like, say, normal. Like, people who had a good upbringing. So my ability to handle stress, my ability to handle distress. So it's like I had I don't know how big are gas tanks. It's like I had a 5-gallon gas tank before I'd run out of gas, where other people seem to have like a 12 or 13-gallon gas tank before they ran out of gas. So I'm like resources. I'm writing about my experience in the subreddit. I'm like talking to people. I was frantic. And what I discovered was that I was not alone. It was weirdly like the dirty secret of parenthood. we I talked in another video about this moment where I found myself just screaming, like, and it wasn't even at my kid, but it was in his presence, and he was terrified, of course. Uh, and people were like, yeah, I've had those moments, and I'm like, how is it we never talk about this? What? What are you? I could not believe, and I was just like, because I was looking at other moms, like, how? Okay, seriously, what are your? I need to know your secrets. I'm trying to do this the right way, but I'm trying to be a healthy, good mom. I'm trying to stop this cycle. I don't want to do to my kid what my dad did to me. And, so many of them were like, yeah, sometimes you just put them in another room and then you shut the door and you walk away and you just, there's a reason why wine o'clock is a recurring theme in mom groups. It's like, it's wine o'clock. Everybody's just like trying to keep it together on this level that's just, and then if you throw like a special needs kid on top of that, or like multiple kids at a time, I was absolutely like, I'm not even sure I'm ever going to have another kid, but we are certainly not doing this right now. That is not a thing. So like literally moms across at least my country, just absolutely struggling in silence. Because, it's one thing, I don't want to be like the patriarchy. Like that's not even, I don't want to like open that, but like we do have our kind of intrinsic programming that we don't really think about. So, people tend to slide into these like established gender roles, and a lot of it puts a lot of stress on mom, cleaning and childcare and organizing the house and keeping track of shit. It's like you've got 20 tabs open in Chrome, because Chrome is a trash browser. It sucks up so many resources. Anyway, so it's like you've got 20 tabs open in Chrome, and your computer, it just won't, like, it can't take anymore. Then it reaches this point where it just shuts down. Like, I'm done. I need a break. Like, there's only so much we can handle. So, like, if even normal moms are dealing with this, and then I'm sitting here with this, like, template stress pattern of abuse that I don't want to say learned, but like I absorbed from my dad, from what he would do. And so I'm on the subreddit, I'm posting resources, and still not going to therapy. I was like, I don't have time for this. I can't afford this. I can't even deal with this. I'm gonna like do this on my own. Y'all. Again, I don't know why I can be so hard-headed. So life conspired to get me into therapy. So I finally go. And I also end up going to a psychiatrist. But I went to, so I go and I get diagnosed with like a mood disorder with like an anxiety component. It's like anxious distress or something. And that's when I finally got like on a medication to help me with my anxiety and regulating my mood. I guess I'd done it before because, before my son was born, before I was pregnant, after I'd left the abusive environment, like I set my shit up so that things were good. My life was intrinsically non-triggering. It was, as stress-free as one can kind of make a life. Nothing would really, provoke my anxiety because I had a lot of autonomy, I worked where I wanted, and I had the friends that I wanted, and I did what I wanted, and if I was ever in a position where I might start to feel those feelings, I'd be like, I'm out, I don't need to deal with this, which is true, like I didn't. But it didn't get to the underlying core of like what was going on. What was going on was, I got this like abusive template pattern that I was witnessing and absorbed from my dad from when I was a kid. I had low distress tolerance. I had an emotional mood regulate a mood disorder and anxiety. I didn't even realize I had anxiety until the first time I screamed. I was like, oh no, what is this? So, you know, it would have been, if I had been less aware, less determined, it would have been real easy to do what I see some other parents do, which is to blame their kids for their own emotional responses. Like, we expect kids to behave perfectly and to, like little robots, you know, like, follow rules. You know what you're supposed to do. Then when they don't, you know, they get blamed for not. Meanwhile, the adults in their lives are freaking losing their minds, you know. That is not a mirror they turn on themselves. Like, you know, just stop doing this thing. You know, this is wrong and you shouldn't do it. And so, you know, we raise the next generation with this like handicap. What? So, I started going to therapy. I start the medication. I'm doing the subreddit, you know, like I'm trying to put in the work because I am not playing. I am not doing this to my kid. We're not passing this down to the next generation. Children do not deserve to grow up that way. To have a parent take out their own emotional stuff on them, it's not okay. Excuse me. I just get so mad when I think about it. I understand my dad was trying the best he could. I understand my mom was trying the best she could. But it's like this twofold process, you know, they can't handle themselves and then also end up blaming some precious innocent little kid. It's not their fault at all. You know, they make themselves believe it. That's your fault I did this. What? Absolutely not. So, you know, sometimes we gotta look, right? We gotta look at ourselves. We gotta look at ourselves really, you know, not necessarily from a angry, critical place, but like with discernment and good judgment, you know, and honesty. You know, is this okay? Is what I'm doing even accurate? You know, you know, I mentioned in another video, if you don't have an accurate paradigm, if you don't have an accurate model of like how the world works, your predictions are not going to be accurate. So, you know, yesterday's video, the poem, I didn't post that to the subreddit, but I talked about in that one that, you know, that there are sometimes children, you know, that become adults that were victims of abuse, that have kids to meet their need for love. And when you're reacting that way subconsciously, that's a model, that's an inaccurate model of the world. You're using a paradigm that's not going to work for you. First of all, it's wrong, just like on a moral level. But also it's not accurate. It's not how things work. So then you set yourself up for dysfunctional and abusive behaviors and patterns. You know, when your kids start doing their own thing and individuating and like trying to control them and bring them back. Here's the amazing thing that I love about parenting, is it exposes the truth about how we are. People like to think they control kids. We control the environment. And if we're good, it's a consistent environment with consistent rules that they can anticipate. So it's like, you know, my kid asks if he can use electronics. I'm like, hey, you already know. Like, you already know this answer. You don't need to ask me. Have you done everything you need to do? Are we working together? Are we following instructions? Have you picked up? Have you done some creative non-screen time play? Have you gotten a little activity in? Have you done these things? Then it's not even up to me. Like, do it or not, you know? It's harder when you have, you know, parents who aren't consistent. You never know. Like What am I going to get? What am I going to be allowed to do? And then intermittent reinforcement, you know, you'll get those gambling behaviors because they're like, maybe this time, you know. But so this process, it takes being really honest with ourselves. You know, it would be super easy for me to look back in my childhood situation. You know, my dad tried to kill me. There's a reason I ended up in foster care. It'd be so easy to be so busy looking backward that I'm not looking at the situation in front of me and going, oh, you know, am I doing something wrong here that I need to check, right? Am I being a good parent, or am I victimizing the next generation? Just because we might have been victims of abuse doesn't mean that we can't go on to hurt other people. And I get that a lot of the time it's, you know, unconscious. You know, like with my ex, you know, I've talked about him multiple times. I love him deeply, even after everything is done. You know, that stuff is done from that, you know, that ego he built as a kid to deal with his abusive situation. And being with me triggered that. And it wasn't my fault, right? I recognized, like, oh, this is what's going on. Ultimately, though, we all have the responsibility of looking at ourselves and doing the work so that we can be proud of ourselves, you know, and also be good people, good parents, you know, not moving through the world in a way that harms others and ourselves. Because here's something really important. You know, it harms us to harm other people. For someone to be really okay with harming someone else, they have to disconnect from their core self in like a crazy strong way. You have to dissociate on like some crazy level to even be able to do that. Those people aren't good people, you know, and often they think they are, but you know, there's always a reckoning at some point. You might be able to push something to the side for a while, but you know, it comes up. Whether you want it to or not. So I'm gonna leave this here. I hope everyone has an amazing day. Sorry I made a little bit of a longer video, but I'm trying to, again, it's not as concise as when I write an article, but I do feel like there's like a really strong value in seeing another person discuss this, which is one reason why I'm doing the videos. Another reason why I'm doing the videos, quite frankly, is that I keep getting pushed in that direction, and I was like, no, that's not something I want to do. I don't want people to see me. I felt very safe behind, here's my username, and I'm just writing words, and that's it. That's all anyone can judge me on. I'm a pretty good writer, so you know, that's a very comfortable place for me to be. But I have learned, like, with getting into therapy, that when I ignore that stuff, sometimes I'm forced into it in ways I don't appreciate. So, like, that's what I'm doing. You know, got my toe in the water. I'm doing the videos. It's fine. So anyway, everyone have a great day, and talk to you next time.